In the heart of a bustling small town stood a charming bakery known as Gold Chef. Its warm, inviting aroma of freshly baked bread wafted through the streets, drawing in locals and visitors alike. The man behind this beloved establishment was Chef Elias, a talented baker with a big heart and even bigger dreams. Known for his delicious golden loaves and warm personality, Chef Elias treated everyone who walked through his door as family. Kids would giggle as they watched him toss dough into the air, while grandparents enjoyed reminiscing over cups of steaming coffee paired with his sweet rolls. His bakery was more than just a place to grab a bite, it was where people gathered to share stories, laughter, and even a few tears. Chef Elias genuinely believed that breaking bread together could solve many problems. But one fateful morning, the cheerful atmosphere was shattered when a group of claim jumpers stormed into town. They were determined to take over the land surrounding Gold Chef, eyeing not only the bakery but also the community that thrived around it. Despite this looming threat, Chef Elias remained hopeful. He planned to whip up a fresh batch of his famous bread to share with everyone, believing kindness could bridge even the widest divides. Little did he know that this act of generosity would set off a chain of events none could foresee. The mood in town shifted the day the claim jumpers arrived. Led by a rough-looking man named Jasper, this group of outsiders was known for their aggressive tactics and ruthless ambition. They roamed into the small town with an air of arrogance, eyes scanning for any opportunity that would allow them to seize control of the land surrounding Gold Chef. Rumors circulated quickly about their intentions, whispers of greed and intimidation spread through the community like wildfire. Jasper and his crew claimed that they had found an old map proving their right to the land, which included the bakery. They demanded a hefty sum from Chef Elias, threatening to take over if he didn't comply. The townspeople were outraged. Gold Chef wasn't just a bakery, but a symbol of their community's spirit. People began to gather outside the bakery, discussing how they could protect their beloved chef and his establishment from these intruders. Tension rose with each passing day as the claim jumpers became bolder in their demands. They stood around town, making snide remarks and trying to intimidate anyone who dared to support Elias. The once joyful laughter in the bakery began to fade as fear crept into conversations, and the warmth of the community felt threatened. Yet amid this turmoil, Chef Elias remained determined, believing that kindness could still prevail against the looming darkness. Despite the rising tension and the threatening presence of the claim jumpers, Chef Elias's heart remained steadfastly good. He believed that kindness could soften even the hardest hearts. One sunny morning, as the bakery buzzed with unease, he decided to bake a fresh batch of his famous sourdough bread. The warm scent filled the air, a comforting reminder of better days. He knew it was a risk to offer anything to those who sought to harm him, but he felt compelled to act. As the bread baked to golden perfection, Chef Elias set up a table outside the bakery, right in front of the claim jumpers' makeshift camp. When he pulled the crusty loaves from the oven, he arranged them neatly and added a pot of creamy butter with some freshly made jam for good measure. His intention was clear: he wanted to share a meal, to break bread together and foster peace instead of conflict. At first, the claim jumpers looked skeptical and uninterested. However, as they caught the delightful aroma drifting through the air, their expressions shifted. Chef Elias approached them with a warm smile, extending an invitation to join him for a moment of camaraderie. "Please," he said, "there's enough for everyone." His simple act of generosity surprised both the claim jumpers and his worried neighbors, demonstrating that kindness could be a powerful weapon against fear and greed. Though Chef Elias's gesture of kindness initially surprised the claim jumpers, it quickly became a tool for manipulation. Instead of fostering goodwill, the bread-sharing event gave Jasper and his crew a sense of entitlement. They began to see the chef not as a benefactor, but as someone they could easily push around. After tasting the delicious sourdough, they started making bolder demands, insisting that Chef Elias provide them with more food and supplies in exchange for not causing trouble. Jasper stood tall, his voice booming as he declared that the chef should pay them a monthly protection fee to avoid conflict. The townsfolk, who had gathered outside the bakery, felt their hearts sink at the brazen demands. They had hoped that sharing bread would bridge the divide, but instead, the claim jumpers were exploiting the chef's generosity for their own gain. Chef Elias tried to remain calm, reminding himself that kindness was still worth pursuing. However, each day brought new demands and threats from Jasper and his crew. As they swaggered around town, making snide remarks about the bakery and its loyal patrons, tension escalated. The joyful laughter that once filled Gold Chef was replaced by anxious whispers among the townspeople, who feared for their community's future. Chef Elias knew he had to find a way to stand up to the claim jumpers without losing his commitment to peace and kindness. Just when the situation seemed hopeless, a surprising turn of events unfolded. One sunny afternoon, as Chef Elias was preparing another batch of bread to share with the townspeople, a familiar sound echoed through the streets, the rumble of horses' hooves. The townsfolk paused, squinting toward the horizon, where they spotted two riders approaching. It was the original owners of the land, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, who had been away for several months due to unforeseen circumstances. As they rode into town, their expressions were a mix of determination and concern. Upon hearing about the claim jumpers and their brazen demands, Mr. Thompson's eyes darkened with anger. He had always believed in standing up for what was right, especially when it came to protecting their beloved community and its cherished bakery. Together with his wife, they approached Gold Chef to find Chef Elias surrounded by anxious townsfolk. With a commanding presence, Mr. Thompson addressed Jasper and his crew directly. "You have no claim here," he declared firmly. The townspeople erupted in cheers at this unexpected support. Encouraged by their return, Chef Elias felt a renewed sense of hope as he watched the Thompsons stand up for him and the bakery he loved so much. It was clear that together they would face this challenge head-on and reclaim their home from those who sought to take it away. The atmosphere grew tense as the claim jumpers stood their ground, eyes narrowed and fists clenched. Jasper, still brimming with arrogance, sneered at Mr. Thompson and his wife as they dismounted their horses. The townspeople gathered around Gold Chef, their hearts pounding in anticipation of the confrontation. Chef Elias felt a knot of anxiety in his stomach, caught between the two opposing sides, unsure of what would happen next. "Who do you think you are, coming back here?" Jasper barked, stepping forward menacingly. "This land belongs to us now." Mr. Thompson squared his shoulders, his voice steady and determined. "You have no claim here, Jasper. This land has always belonged to my family, and we will not let you take it away." His wife stood resolutely at his side, her expression fierce and unwavering. The tension crackled in the air as both parties faced off, words flying like arrows. Townsfolk murmured anxiously, hoping for a peaceful resolution but fearing the worst. Chef Elias glanced at his bakery, the heart of the community, and felt a surge of protectiveness. As insults were hurled back and forth, Chef Elias stepped forward with a tremor in his voice. "We can resolve this without violence. Let's talk." But would anyone listen? The weight of uncertainty loomed large as the confrontation reached its boiling point, and Chef Elias hoped desperately for a peaceful outcome. As tensions flared between the two sides, the atmosphere grew increasingly volatile. Jasper, sensing the resolve of Mr. Thompson, took a bold step forward, eyes narrowing dangerously. "You think you can just come back here and take what's ours?" he spat. The townspeople gasped, fearing that the confrontation might escalate into violence. In a shocking twist, Jasper suddenly turned his attention to Chef Elias, who was standing nearby, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on him. "You think your kindness can save you?" he sneered, taking a menacing step closer to the chef. "Maybe a little fire will teach you a lesson." A chill ran down Chef Elias's spine as he realized the danger he faced. Jasper reached into his pocket and pulled out a small pistol, raising it ominously as he pointed it in Elias's direction. "How about we settle this once and for all? You give us what we want, or we take something you truly care about." The crowd held its breath, shocked into silence by the threat hanging in the air. Chef Elias felt a rush of fear but also a surge of determination. He couldn't let fear dictate his actions. Slowly raising his hands, he took a deep breath and spoke with conviction. "I won't let you harm anyone here. We can find another way. But as he spoke, he knew the stakes had never been higher, and the danger was now all too real. Despite the fear swirling around him, Chef Elias felt a spark of bravery ignite within. As Jasper brandished the pistol, threatening everyone he held dear, the chef tightened his grip on his apron and took a deep breath. He knew that cowering in fear would not protect his bakery or the community he loved. "I won't let you intimidate us," he declared, his voice steady, rising above the tense atmosphere. The townspeople looked at him with a mix of admiration and concern, but there was something reassuring in his courage. Elias stepped forward again, his heart pounding but resolute. "Gold Chef is more than just a bakery, it's a place where we come together as one. You can't take that away from us." Jasper scowled but seemed taken aback by Elias's determination. Surrounded by his neighbors, Chef Elias felt their support rooting him firmly in place. "We've faced challenges before," he continued, meeting the eyes of the anxious crowd. "And we will face this one together." The chef's resilience was contagious, and whispers of agreement began to circulate among the townsfolk. Some stepped closer to him, drawing strength from his bravery. In that moment, despite the looming threat, Chef Elias transformed anxiety into hope. He knew that standing tall and united was their best chance at keeping Gold Chef alive and vibrant for everyone who cherished it. As Chef Elias stood defiantly against Jasper's threats, the townsfolk began to stir, their fear gradually transforming into determination. One by one, familiar faces from the community stepped forward, rallying around the chef as he held his ground. Mrs. Jenkins, a local farmer and loyal customer of Gold Chef, shouted, "We won't let them take away what we've built together." Her voice rang out strong and clear, igniting a fire within the crowd. People joined in solidarity, some brandishing handmade signs declaring their love for the bakery while others raised their voices in support of Chef Elias. The spirit of unity swept through the gathering like a warm breeze. Neighbors who had once merely exchanged friendly smiles now stood shoulder to shoulder, ready to defend their cherished bakery. Children clutched homemade banners they'd painted earlier that day, showcasing their pride in Gold Chef and its essential role in the community. They looked at the chef with wide eyes filled with admiration and hope. Inspired by Elias's bravery, a group of men stepped forward to confront Jasper directly. "You'll have to go through us if you want to get to him," they declared firmly. The collective strength resonated in the air as whispers of courage turned into shouts of defiance. In that moment, fear faded away, what remained was a powerful bond among neighbors resolved to protect their beloved community and stand against greed together. The atmosphere was charged with defiance as the townspeople stood united against Jasper and the claim jumpers. Seeing the unwavering support of the community, Mr. Thompson stepped forward confidently, ready to reclaim what rightfully belonged to his family. "This land is our home, and you have no place here," he declared, his voice echoing through the crowd. Jasper, realizing that he was now outnumbered, glanced nervously at his crew. The bravado he once held began to fade as the townsfolk moved closer, their faces set with determination. The collective strength of their unity transformed the fearful whispers into a palpable force. "Leave now, and don't ever come back," Mrs. Thompson added, her voice strong beside her husband's. The claim jumpers shifted uneasily, sensing that their grip on the situation was slipping. With no backing and the weight of the townspeople's resolve bearing down on them, Jasper made a fateful decision. "Let's get out of here," he barked, retreating to avoid further humiliation. Cheers erupted from the crowd as they watched the claim jumpers flee, victory lighting up their faces. Chef Elias felt tears of relief fill his eyes as his loyal patrons embraced him in celebration. Peace had returned to Gold Chef and the town, allowing Chef Elias to safely continue his work baking bread that brought everyone together. The love and unity within the community flourished once more, reinforcing that kindness and courage could triumph over greed. As the dust settled and peace returned to the town, Chef Elias took a moment to reflect on the journey they had all endured. The events had shown him that a strong community could rise against adversity when fueled by kindness and generosity. He looked around at the familiar faces of his neighbors, now united more than ever, and felt a deep sense of gratitude. The bakery, Gold Chef, was not just a place to buy bread, it had become a symbol of resilience and togetherness. Each loaf he baked now carried a story of courage and hope, reminding everyone that even in dark times, compassion could light the way. Elias thought of how sharing his bread had sparked something powerful within the town, a reminder that helping one another fosters strength and unity. The townspeople had rallied to support him when he needed it most, proving that generosity could create bonds that withstand the toughest challenges. In the days that followed, Gold Chef flourished, filled with laughter and joy once again. As customers lined up for their favorite pastries, Chef Elias vowed to keep baking not just for the sake of his business but as a way to nourish the spirit of community. He knew that kindness was a choice they would all continue to make together, ensuring that when faced with challenges again, they would face them as one, stronger and more united than ever.